Before we read tonight's prayer, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like this video. Tonight, maybe what's keeping you awake isn't the noise around you, but the noise inside, that voice that whispers, "What if you mess it up again?" The memory of past mistakes still echoing in your chest, the heaviness of another beginning that already feels fragile. You're trying to be strong, you're trying to move forward, but the fear is real, and it's not just fear of the unknown. It's fear of the known, fear of walking back into the same pain, the same disappointment, the same cycle. And you're tired, not just from the day, but from carrying the weight of every almost, every not yet, every "I failed last time." If that's where your heart is tonight, you're not alone. This prayer is for you. Not the polished version of you that pretends it's all fine, but the real version, the one lying awake with racing thoughts and shaky hope, the one who wants to believe that tomorrow will be different, but isn't sure how to trust that yet. This space is safe for you. This moment is made for your honesty. You don't have to hide your fear here. You don't have to explain why it's so hard to start again. You just have to breathe. Slowly, gently, like this. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Again. In. You've made it through today, and even if today was clumsy, uncertain, or disappointing, you're here. You're trying, and that still matters. If this prayer is helping you rest tonight, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. You're not alone here. Let's speak gently to the fear. Let's say, "I see you, but you don't get to control my night." You don't have to push the fear away. You just don't have to build your bed around it. You can invite peace in too. You can invite comfort to stay closer. You can let this moment become your reminder that failure is not your identity, that your past does not define your future, that grace is bigger than your worst mistake, and God is not standing at the door of tomorrow, waiting to see if you fall again. He's sitting beside you tonight, holding your hand in the dark, whispering, "Even if you do fall, I'll still be here." It's okay if the fear still lingers. It's okay if your chest still feels tight when you think about what comes next. You're not weak because you're scared. You're not broken because you don't feel ready. This world moves fast, but healing doesn't. Trust doesn't. Confidence, especially after it's been shaken, returns slowly. So tonight, let's not demand certainty from yourself. Let's not force optimism. Let's just sit with what's true. You've been through something hard. Maybe something failed. Maybe you quit. Maybe something fell apart. Or maybe you just didn't live up to your own hopes. And that hurt deeply. It made something in you quieter, more cautious. But the fact that you're here still trying, still caring, means that hope hasn't died. It just got quieter. And maybe tonight is the night you let that quiet hope breathe again. Not loudly, not boldly, just honestly. There is no shame in starting over. There is no shame in beginning again, even if you've had to do it a dozen times. Grace doesn't run out. Compassion doesn't have a counter. And the God who sits with you now is not tired of seeing you try again. He doesn't sigh when you falter. He doesn't roll his eyes at your uncertainty. He simply says, "I know it's scary, but I'm with you." Not when you succeed, not when you impress, but now, in the uncertainty, in the in-between, in the moment when you're lying here, unsure if you have what it takes to try again. Let that be your peace tonight. Not that you're guaranteed to succeed, but that you're never alone if you don't. Let the pressure lift. Let the need to prove yourself rest for now. You are not here to perform. You are not a project. You are a person deeply loved, even in the mess, even in the repeat attempts, even in the fear that keeps whispering, "What if I fail again?" You're not failing right now. You're breathing, you're softening, you're allowing love to speak louder than fear. even for a moment. And that is everything. Let your body begin to believe it. Let your jaw loosen. Let your hands rest. Let your breath slow down. Deeper now, like your chest is learning. It doesn't have to carry it all. Let the mattress carry more of your weight. Let your eyes close, even just a little. Let the thought enter. Maybe I can rest, even if everything's not figured out. You can. You absolutely can. You are not behind. You are not defined by one chapter. You are still becoming, still healing, still moving forward, even when you pause, even when you are afraid, even when you're lying here, wondering if you're just going in circles. Circles are still movement. Waiting is still sacred. Breathing is still beautiful. Tonight is not the night to have answers. It's the night to feel held, to know that even in your fear of failing again, you are surrounded by grace that doesn't depend on your performance. You're not alone. You've never been. You've just been tired. And tonight, finally, you can rest. There's something sacred about staying in the process, staying in the discomfort, staying in the space where you're tempted to give up, but you don't. Even when your thoughts are messy, even when you don't feel brave, even when part of you wants to run back into what's familiar, even if it wasn't healthy, that tension you're feeling right now, it's not weakness. It's the stretch of growth. It's the quiet breaking of old patterns. And it's okay if it hurts. It's okay if part of you is scared of becoming something new, because new can feel like danger when all your heart has known is disappointment. But this isn't danger. This is healing. This is your soul learning that just because you've failed before doesn't mean you're destined to fail again. You don't need to wake up tomorrow with everything figured out. You don't need to make all the right choices. You don't need to impress anyone with your recovery. You just need to breathe. One kind, honest, gentle breath at a time. Let that be your prayer tonight. God, help me try again, without fear choking the life out of me. And maybe you add, stay close, even if I fall. And the answer is already yes. Already done. Already true. If this prayer is helping you rest tonight, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. You're not alone here. Your value is not attached to your performance. If tomorrow doesn't go the way you hope, if your steps are shaky, you're still loved. If next week feels like a setback, if the fear comes rushing back, you're still not alone. You are not being measured by your success rate. You are being loved through your process. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to heal, to grow, to keep showing up for yourself with kindness. So, let that kindness settle in tonight. Let it cover you like a blanket. Let it find the places inside you that still whisper shame and softly say, you don't need to carry that anymore. You've carried it long enough. The pressure, the guilt, the regret is heavy, and you're tired. But rest isn't something you have to earn by succeeding. Rest is what your soul needs to keep going. And tonight, it's allowed. You are allowed to stop performing, to stop explaining, to stop judging your progress, and just rest. It's okay if you're still thinking about what went wrong. It's okay if the memory of failure shows up uninvited. Don't push it down. Don't shame yourself. Just say, yes, I remember, and I'm still choosing to try again. That's strength, not denial, but choosing forward movement, even with the scar still tender. This is the kind of night that changes things. Not because you figured it all out, but because you stayed. You let someone speak peace into your fear. You let your heart exhale a little deeper. And even if you don't feel dramatically different, something inside you is shifting, softening, loosening, preparing for tomorrow. Not with pressure, but with permission. You can start again, and again, and again. You are never too far gone for grace. You are never too far behind for love. And you are never alone in the place where you whisper, I don't want to fail again. Let's make space right now, not for pressure, but for peace. Not for perfection, but for presence. The kind of presence that simply says, I see how hard you're trying, and not in a judging way, in a gentle way, because you've been holding a lot, holding your dreams in one hand and your fears in the other, holding hope in your chest and doubt in your stomach, holding it together for everyone else. While feeling like you might fall apart, you weren't meant to hold it all. That was never your burden, and maybe tonight is about letting some of that go, even if it's just for a while, even if it all returns in the morning. Tonight, let it rest. Let it fall from your shoulders, slide off your chest, disappear into the quiet that's starting to feel like a friend again. You're allowed to feel safe here. Failure does not get the last word. It never did. It might have spoken loud. It might have left a scar. But it doesn't get to write your story. Not tonight. Not anymore. There's a deeper voice here. One that calls you back to love, not judgment. One that says, try again, not because you have to, but because you are loved even when you don't succeed. And that's what you've needed all along, isn't it? Not someone to tell you to be stronger, but someone to sit with you in the moments you feel weak and say, you're still enough. Let this be your soft place to land. No more racing thoughts. No more panic about what happens next. No more shame from what happened last time. You're not stuck in the loop forever. This moment breaks the cycle, not by erasing what came before, but by offering something new, a pause, a breath, a kindness that maybe you didn't know was allowed. And now that it's here, let it in. Let it move through your arms, your back, your jaw, your breath. Let it calm the part of you that's still rehearsing failure in your mind. Let it gently replace the question, what if I fail again, with what if I'm not alone when I do? Because you won't be. You never were. Even in the lowest moments, even in the breakdowns, even when you believed no one noticed, God noticed. He was there, not fixing things instantly, but holding you in the middle of what cracked, holding you again tonight, in the middle of your rebuilding. And he's not looking for perfection. He's not asking for proof that you've healed. He's just here, right now, in the quiet, as you are, as this version of you that's scared, tired, uncertain, and still worthy of peace. Let yourself believe it for one more breath. If this prayer is helping you rest tonight, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. You're not alone here. And maybe that's all you needed tonight. Not a fix, not a plan, just a breath, just a voice, just a moment to remember that your story isn't over, even if it's messy, even if you've failed before, even if the road ahead feels shaky. You're still walking, still listening, still here, and that matters. There's a kind of peace that doesn't show up all at once. It doesn't knock loudly or flood in like a rush. It slips in slowly. Like this, like your breath getting softer, like your mind letting go of its grip, like your heart beginning to believe that maybe, just maybe, it's safe to hope again. That kind of peace is not a performance. It's a presence, and it's here. Maybe you didn't notice when it arrived, but it's been here in the quiet between your thoughts, in the space where you stopped bracing for everything to go wrong, in the pause between your questions and regrets. You don't need to figure it all out tonight. You don't need to fix your whole life in one evening. You don't even need to know how to try again. You just need to rest. Let your body be what it is, tired. Let your spirit be what it is, tender. Let your mind be what it is, still holding too much. And then let something greater hold you. That's not failure. That's wisdom, that's surrender, that's trust. The kind that says, I don't have to have all the answers to be loved right now. Maybe no one else sees how hard you're trying. Maybe you haven't said it out loud, how exhausting it is to keep getting up, to keep forgiving yourself, to keep believing that this time could be different. But tonight, God sees not just the surface, but the tremble beneath it. The courage, the way you keep showing up, even if your voice shakes. He sees all of it, and he doesn't turn away. He doesn't demand more. He just stays near, gentle, still. So what if you fail again? Will it hurt? Maybe. Will it undo everything good in you? No. Will it mean you're hopeless, broken, or unworthy of peace? Absolutely not, because your identity was never built on your perfection. Your worth never depended on your record of success. You're already valuable, already loved, already enough, even here, even now, even when you're afraid of falling all over again. Let that soak into your soul like quiet light. Let it shift the way your thoughts move. Let it steady your breath. Let it bring softness to the places in you that have been hard for too long. You don't have to be so guarded anymore. Not with God. Not in this prayer. Not in this moment. You can lay it all down. The pressure, the doubt, the fear of becoming who you used to be. You're not the same. You've grown. You're growing. And even if you don't feel it yet, something in you has already changed. If this prayer is helping you rest tonight, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. You're not alone here. So close your eyes, not in denial, but in trust, in peace, in the knowledge that you're not walking this road alone, that every step forward, even if it's small, is a testimony of your strength, that every failure you've survived has shaped you, not ruined you, and that every night like this one is part of your healing. You don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to keep choosing softness, keep choosing presence, keep choosing rest. And you're doing that right now. You don't have to be on guard right now. You don't have to rehearse the things that went wrong. You don't have to run through the list of all the ways you could have done it differently. That's over. That chapter is closed. It's okay if your mind still visits it, but you don't have to stay there. You don't live in that moment anymore. You're here now on a different night, with a different heart, with a deeper understanding of yourself. And that matters. You've changed, even if no one else sees it yet. Even if the change feels quiet, uncertain, or unfinished, it's real, and it's unfolding right now. Let tonight be what it is, not a finish line, not a test, not another mountain to climb, just a soft place to breathe, to fall back into grace, to let your soul exhale the tension of the day and settle into safety. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to explain yourself to God. He already knows. Not just what happened, but why it still hurts, why it's still hard, why the fear of trying again is so real, and still he doesn't pull away. Still that fear you're carrying, it's not the enemy. It's a signal. It means you care. It means you've felt pain before and you're trying to protect yourself. But what if tonight you didn't have to protect yourself alone? What if tonight you could lay the armor down, just for a little while, just long enough to breathe without bracing, to sleep without scanning the horizon, to rest without preparing for the worst? You've prepared for failure so many times. You've tried to outthink disappointment, to make plans B through Z in case it all falls apart again. That's exhausting. That's not peace. And tonight, you don't need a plan. You need presence. You don't need a solution. You need stillness. You don't need to win. You need to be held. So, let the holding begin. Now, not with answers, not with explanations, just with softness. The way your pillow receives your head, the way your breath slows without asking permission, the way your body knows it's finally allowed to rest. That's not weakness. That's healing. That's trust in action. What if this is the first night in a long time that you don't fall asleep rehearsing your fears, but receiving peace instead? What if this is the night your body finally lets go? Not because everything is perfect, but because it knows it doesn't have to fight alone. What if this is the night your soul says, even if I do fail again, I will not be abandoned. You won't be. You never have been. And even now, even as your thoughts begin to quiet, even as your eyes begin to close, you're still being held, still being loved, still being carried. Let sleep find you in that truth. You've come a long way tonight, not in miles, not in accomplishments, but in release. You've let go of some of the tension. You've let the fear speak, but not shout. You've made space for truth that doesn't accuse you, but comforts you. And maybe that's what healing really is. Not an instant transformation, but a long, slow unfolding. A series of nights like this, where you stop running, where you stop rehearsing failure, and instead start remembering that love didn't walk out when you fell. It didn't shrink back when you got overwhelmed. It stayed. It whispered through the chaos. You're still mine. Maybe no one else saw what you went through. Maybe they judged from the outside, not knowing the storm you were holding in your chest, but God saw, and He's not here to remind you of the fall. He's here to restore the parts of you that believed you couldn't try again. That's who He is, not a scorekeeper, but a healer. Not a judge at your bedside, but a friend who stays through the night. So breathe. Not because everything is okay, but because you don't have to hold your breath anymore. Inhale, softly. Feel the air enter without resistance. Exhale, gently. Let it carry some of the fear with it. Again, inhale, exhale. This is what trust sounds like. This is what surrender feels like. Not dramatic, not loud, just real, just tender. You're not failing right now. Even if you cried today, even if you made a mistake, even if you're still afraid to face tomorrow, you're not failing. You're feeling. You're human. You're healing. That matters more than any outcome. Your heart is still beating. Your spirit is still open, and your soul, though tired, still longs for hope. That means you haven't lost. You've lived. And maybe tonight is less about preparing for what's next and more about thanking yourself for how far you've come, even if it feels small. Even if you had to crawl some of the way, you're here, still reaching, still hoping, still letting love speak to the places that shame used to live. You are not the same person who failed last time. You've learned things, grown in ways you can't even name yet. You've survived things that could have broken you, and still, you're here. Not bitter, but soft. Not hard, but healing. That is strength. That is courage. That is enough. So let the night cover you like a blessing. Let the silence feel less like loneliness and more like safety. Let the darkness become a soft room where your spirit can finally stretch out, unafraid. You are not being watched for signs of failure. You are being watched over in love, complete, constantly, kindly. Let yourself sleep in that knowing. You're doing something holy tonight. No, it doesn't look dramatic. You're not standing on a mountaintop. You're not giving a speech. You're lying down, breathing, letting go. But it's holy because it's honest. Because you've chosen to be present with your own heart instead of escaping it. You've chosen to stay with yourself, even in the fear. That's rare. That's beautiful. That's brave. It's easy to run into distraction, into busyness, into overthinking. But you didn't. You paused. You let stillness find you. And in that stillness, God is meeting you. Not to give you a lecture, but to give you rest. Not to remind you of how many times you've failed, but to remind you of how loved you are even now. Especially now. There's a quiet miracle happening in this very moment. Your spirit is unwinding. Your breath is finding rhythm. Your soul so tired from the weight of what ifs, is learning a new song, one that sounds like gentleness, one that sounds like it's okay, one that sounds like even this can be redeemed. You don't have to be anything other than this, right now, right here. You don't need a new title or a perfect record. You don't need more strength, more certainty, more plans. You only need to be, just be. With every part of you, even the unsure parts, especially the unsure parts, they are not shameful. They are tender. They are learning, and they are deeply loved. Let that sink in. Let it soften the edges around your heart. Let it quiet the voices in your mind that still try to convince you you're not enough. You are. You always have been. And nothing you could do, succeed or fail, would change that. Not tonight, not ever. So sleep, not because the fear is gone, but because it's no longer the loudest voice in the room. Sleep, because something deeper has arrived, a presence that doesn't leave, a kindness that doesn't depend on outcomes, a love that's not afraid of your past or your future. Sleep, because you're finally safe, because you're finally sane, because you're finally remembering what's always been true, that you were never expected to carry this alone. It's okay if you're still holding on a little. It takes time to loosen the grip of fear. It takes time to believe that you're not being watched for mistakes, but watched over in love. It takes time to trust again, not just people, but yourself. And that's what tonight is giving you. Time. Time to be. Time to feel. Time to rest without rushing into performance. No deadlines here, no expectations, just peace. You don't have to fix the past tonight. You don't have to guarantee the future. You just have to stay with yourself, softly, kindly, and let grace do what only grace can do. Let it wash over you. Let it remind your body that it can unclench. Let it tell your chest it doesn't need to be tight. Let it tell your shoulders they can drop. Let it tell your thoughts they can stop trying to solve everything. Sometimes the most faithful thing you can do is lie still and say, God, I'm scared, but I'm still here. And that is enough. That is more than enough. You don't need to earn rest. You don't need to achieve peace. You just need to allow it. And I know that can feel hard when failure has taught you to stay tense, to expect pain, to prepare for the worst. But right now, there is no worst. Right now, there is no failure. Just this breath and then the next. And that is sacred. That is healing. That is the beginning of new trust. Maybe tomorrow will be hard. Maybe you'll stumble again. Maybe some old fears will try to crawl back into your thoughts. But tonight, you're not there yet. Tonight is not for planning how to survive. It's for remembering that you're already surviving, that your heart has not given up, that even with all that's gone wrong, you're still soft enough to pray. And that's a kind of miracle. Let that miracle carry you into rest. So let go, not because everything is fixed, but because you finally believe you don't have to be perfect to rest. Let go because your breath is enough, because your tears, if they come, are not signs of weakness, but signs that you're still open, still alive, still reachable. Let go because you've held on long enough. Let tonight be a gift, not earned, just given. Let it be the moment your heart unclenched. The moment your soul whispered, I don't have to fear failing again because I'm not doing this alone anymore. Let that be the last thing you remember before sleep finds you. There is a place deep within you where fear cannot reach, not because it disappears, but because it no longer controls the story. That place is growing, quietly, gently. Each time you choose love over self-blame, each time you let peace in, even while the questions remain, you're shaping something sacred inside yourself. A softness strong enough to withstand the pressure. a rest deep enough to rebuild you. You've spent so long trying to get it right, so long asking yourself what you could have done differently, so long second-guessing even your good moments, wondering if they're enough. But what if they were? What if that version of you, the one who tried, who struggled, who got back up again, what if that version didn't need fixing? What if they just needed rest? The ache in your chest, the weight in your shoulders, the tightness in your breath, they've been carrying the lie that failure defines you. But failure doesn't get to name you. Not anymore. You are not what went wrong. You are not your worst moment. You are the one who kept breathing through the weight of it. The one who whispered, "Maybe I'll try again." The one who let your heart soften even when it felt safer to be hard. And that's what makes you brave. Tonight doesn't need to end in resolve. It doesn't need to be wrapped in clarity. It can simply drift into quiet, a stillness where no performance is required, a softness where your thoughts don't have to be managed or silenced, just gently noticed and let go. A warmth that comes not from figuring it all out, but from knowing that you are seen, held, and never alone, even in your fear. So close your eyes without pressure. Let sleep come without effort. Let your last thought be one of peace, not worry. You don't have to fight tonight. You don't have to prepare for disappointment. You only have to rest, and tomorrow, whatever it brings, will not find you unprepared, because you're not starting from zero. You're starting from grace, and grace will never let you fall alone. Sometimes what you need most isn't a reason. It's a reminder that you're still here, that you're still loved, that you're still allowed to rest even with the weight of unspoken fears. You don't have to explain why you're tired. You don't have to justify your hesitation. You don't need to be fearless to be faithful. You just need to be real. And you've already done that tonight. You've shown up in your weariness. And that's no small thing. That's courage. The people around you might not see that part. They might only notice results. They might expect more than you can give. But here, in this quiet space, in this prayer, no one's asking you to impress. You don't have to hold it together. You don't have to hide the part of you that's scared to try again. That part is safe here. That part belongs. And that part is being healed by something deeper than shame. God is not waiting for you to succeed before He shows up. He's here in the hesitation, in the "I'm not sure I can," in the "I want to, but I'm afraid." He's already loving the version of you that hasn't figured it out yet, already blessing the part of your heart that's still doubting, already calming the storm before you even take the next step. You don't have to be fearless to move forward. You just have to move with love. And sometimes, love looks like resting when everything inside you says, keep trying harder. Sometimes, love is letting go. Sometimes, love is the whisper that says, not tonight. You've done enough. Just breathe. You have. You've breathed your way through this night, not rushing it, not skipping the pain, not pretending it's all okay, but being with it, with yourself. And that kind of presence changes things. Quietly, slowly, deep. So let yourself be changed, not by pressure, but by peace. Let this night rewire the way you speak to yourself. Let it be the moment you stop calling yourself a failure and start calling yourself beloved. Not because you succeeded, but because you showed up with honesty, because you didn't run away from the hard part, because even in your fear, you stayed open to healing. Let that truth settle deeper with every breath. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not beyond hope. You are in process, and that process is holy. It's full of grace. It's held by love. You can't mess it up by being afraid. You can't ruin it by resting. You're allowed to slow down. You're allowed to need time. You're allowed to be human. And tonight, you're allowed to sleep in that truth. You've come so far tonight, not in the way the world measures distance, but in the way your heart has softened, the way your fears were heard instead of pushed down, the way your thoughts slowed enough for peace to slip in. That is no small thing. That is grace. That is healing in motion. You didn't need a solution to rest. You just needed space. And now you have it. This is your permission to stop trying for a while, to stop analyzing, to stop preparing for what might go wrong. Stop looking at yourself through the lens of not enough. There is no judgment here, no correction, no requirement, only love, only rest, only the quiet voice that says, even if you fail again, I will still be with you. And that voice, that presence, is all you need tonight. If this prayer is helping you rest tonight, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. You're not alone here. Let everything that weighs you down slide off your shoulders now. The self-doubt, the regret, the second-guessing, it doesn't belong in this space. It has no power here. You are not defined by what went wrong. You are not less because you've been scared. You are not disqualified by your pain. You are still in this, still held, still welcome, in peace. Let your breathing slow, even more. Let your thoughts soften into stillness. Let your body feel the weight of the covers, the safety of this moment, the nearness of God who does not ask for performance, but simply presence. You're not being measured right now. You're being met with kindness, with comfort, with calm. This is what healing looks like. Not loud, not instant, but steady, quiet, present. Like a friend who stays. Like a light that doesn't leave. Like a God who doesn't give up on you, even when you give up on yourself. You don't have to believe everything will go perfectly. You don't even have to believe that the fear will vanish tomorrow. All you need to believe is that you are not alone, that your effort matters, that your heart is still learning how to trust, and that it's okay to take your time. If this prayer is helping you rest tonight, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. You're not alone here. Tonight, let go of the narrative that says you always mess things up. Let go of the pressure to be someone you're not. Let go of the inner critic who won't stop talking. Let go of the fear that says, if you rest, you'll lose ground. You won't. You're not losing anything tonight. You're gaining clarity. You're gaining peace. You're gaining the quiet strength to begin again, not from shame, but from softness. This night is not your enemy. It's your companion. It's here to remind you that you're still safe, still valuable, still worthy of deep rest. Let the stillness hold you now. Let your last thoughts be gentle ones. Let the heaviness in your limbs become holy stillness. Let the whisper in your spirit say, you're doing better than you think. Let your eyes close. Let your body release the day. Let your soul rest in knowing that even if you fall tomorrow, you're already held tonight. Sleep in peace. You're not alone. You never were, and you never were. You made it here again tonight, and maybe you didn't think you would. Maybe part of you still wonders if it counts. Showing up like this, quietly, without answers, without a plan. But it does. It always counts when you choose to pause instead of push, when you choose presence over performance, when you choose rest over rumination. You've already done something sacred by letting yourself be still, and that stillness, even if it feels empty, is full of healing you can't always see right away. The voices in your head might still try to convince you that you've fallen too far behind, that the window of opportunity is closed, that you wasted too much time or made too many wrong turns. But those voices don't get to speak the truth tonight. Truth sounds softer than that. Truth doesn't shout, it doesn't rush, it doesn't wound. Truth whispers, you're still here, and that's enough. And maybe that's what you've needed all along. Not proof, not productivity, but permission. to just be, without shame, without fear, without expectation. You don't have to make declarations about tomorrow right now. You don't have to muster up motivation or create a strategy. You just need to breathe. Just rest your tired heart. Let your body know it is not in danger. Let your soul remember what peace feels like. You've spent enough time rehearsing worst-case scenarios, enough time trying to fix things that weren't yours to carry in the first place. Tonight isn't about fixing. It's about release. You are not a project to be completed. You are not a failure to be solved. You are a person in process, in grace, in motion, and all of that is holy. There is no one-size-fits-all path to healing. There is only this moment, this breath, this softness. And when you choose to lean into that, to accept love in the place where shame once lived, something shifts, something opens, something begins again, quietly. It doesn't have to feel profound to be real. This moment, as simple as it is, might be the start of a new way of living, not ruled by fear, not crushed by the memory of failure, but gently held by a God who knows the whole story and stays anyway. Let yourself be held. There's something healing about doing nothing tonight, about letting the pressure melt, letting the expectations drift away, letting your body be exactly where it is, not forcing, not chasing, not proving, just here, just breathing. That's the miracle, isn't it? That in a world constantly pulling at you to do more, you've chosen rest. Not because you gave up, but because you're learning there's a different way, a gentler way, a way where grace is louder than guilt. You don't need to earn this quiet moment. It's already yours. Not because you've performed well enough, but because you are loved endlessly, unconditionally, quietly. Even when your plans fall apart, even when your courage feels too small to carry you, even when your mind loops the same worries over and over as if rehearsing them could keep you safe, you are still loved, still chosen, still. You don't have to silence your fears tonight. Just don't let them be the only voice you listen to. Let love speak too. Let comfort have a word. Let the whisper of grace be louder than the noise of your inner critic. You don't have to push fear away. Just let it know that it doesn't get to lead anymore. Not tonight. Not here. This is sacred ground. This is rest. This is peace that doesn't demand perfection, only presence. And you brought that. You brought your honesty. You brought your weariness. You brought your open, trembling heart. That's more than enough for God to meet you here. He's not waiting for the fixed version of you. He's here for this version. The in-process version. The version who isn't sure if it's okay to try again but still showed up anyway. That's real courage. Not the kind that shouts, but the kind that stays. That breathes, that believes. Even if just a little. That maybe it's safe now to rest. Let that belief carry you to sleep. You've spent so much time trying to be strong, trying to figure out what went wrong, trying to protect yourself from the next mistake, and somewhere along the way, it got heavy. All that trying, all that effort to avoid falling again. But what if tonight, strength didn't look like effort? What if it looked like rest? What if it looked like letting go of control for just long enough to remember that you're not carrying this alone? You were never meant to walk this road in fear. You were never meant to walk it alone. And yet you've done both. And you're still here, still breathing, still hoping. That matters. That means something. That means the story isn't over. Even if part of you still aches when you think of how things turned out. Even if you've grown quiet when you used to be brave. Even if you're not sure how to begin again. You're still part of something sacred. Still held by a love that doesn't leave just because you've stumbled. You don't have to rush toward peace. You don't have to demand clarity from yourself. Sometimes healing begins when you simply sit with your confusion and let it be witnessed by love. No fixing, no forcing, just allowing, letting God sit beside you, not as a critic, not as a coach, but as a quiet presence that doesn't flinch when your voice shakes, that doesn't walk out when you doubt yourself. That's what you're doing now. You're sitting with yourself, not turning away. You're giving your soul a chance to catch up. You're learning that failure isn't the end, but maybe a doorway to grace, to new understanding, to gentler rhythms. You're already on the other side of something hard. You don't have to pretend you're not hurting, but you don't have to carry it all alone either. Let this night be your exhale. Let it be the place you come home to yourself. Maybe you've been measuring yourself by things that were never yours to carry. Maybe you've been carrying someone else's words, someone else's expectations, someone else's silence, and calling it failure. But it was never yours. It was never your identity. And tonight, you get to set it down. Not because you figured it all out, not because everything suddenly makes sense, but because love doesn't wait for you to be whole before it reaches out. It meets you in the breaking. It meets you here. You are not weak for needing comfort. You are not lazy for needing rest. You are not behind for not having it all together. You are healing. And healing doesn't always look like progress. Sometimes it looks like tears. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like saying the same prayer again and again until the fear loses its grip. Sometimes it looks like breathing in the dark, waiting for hope to arrive, and choosing not to give up while you wait. This space, right now, this breath, this moment, it matters. Not because it's perfect, not because you've done anything to earn it, but because you're choosing to be here anyway, choosing to lean into peace, choosing to soften the edges of your mind and give your heart a chance to stop racing. That is sacred. That is strong. You've already done more than you think just by not giving up on this moment. Just by saying, I'm scared, but I still want to be loved. Just by choosing not to harden, just by choosing to lay down and let grace catch you. That is not small. That is not invisible. That is not a failure. That's faith. Quiet, trembling faith. The kind that's... So, breathe again, gently. No rush, no demand, just breath and presence and quiet, knowing you are not here by accident. You are being gently restored in ways you won't fully understand until much later. But trust, it's happening. In stillness, in softness, in surrender. Let that truth hold you tonight. You've spent so many nights wondering if it's too late, if the mistakes were too loud, if the moments you missed were too important. But here's what I want you to hear tonight. Grace doesn't keep score the way your mind does. It doesn't measure your worth by outcomes. It meets you in the middle of your questions, your fears, your disappointments, and stays. There's nothing you have to fix right now. No apology you have to rehearse. No image you have to maintain. You don't have to be more than you are. You don't have to look stronger than you feel. You don't even have to believe that everything will turn out okay. You just have to know that you are not alone in it. Not tonight. Not ever. It's okay to be in process, to be unsure, to be healing slower than you hoped. It's okay if all you did today was hold on. If all you're doing now is listening. That's still movement. That's still grace. You're not stuck just because you don't have clarity. You're not failing just because you feel fragile. Let your breath remind you of what's true. You are still here, still becoming, still held. The same love that was with you in your best moment is still here in this quiet one. And it's not leaving. Not when you fear trying again. Not when you remember the pain. Not when you doubt yourself. Love doesn't flinch, and neither does grace. So breathe into that safety. Let your shoulders drop. Let your chest rise and fall without tension. Let the noise of self-judgment grow quieter. You don't need it here. You don't need to protect yourself from a love that's never harmed you. You don't need to fear what healing might ask of you, because it's never asked for perfection. Only honesty. Only softness. Only your yes to rest. And you've already given that. So, let this night be what it is, a space where you're allowed to not have answers, a space where you can be afraid and still be at peace. Let it hold you. Sometimes we think healing has to look bold, like a declaration, like a grand restart. But most of the time, it's quiet, it's invisible. It happens in the small choices, the ones no one else sees, like choosing to stay with yourself when shame wants you to run, like choosing to rest instead of overthink, like showing up to this prayer, not because everything is fine, but because you want to be okay again, slowly, gently, honestly. And that's enough. It really is. You are not behind just because your progress isn't loud. You are not less just because you haven't figured out how to try again yet. You're not alone just because the silence feels heavy. You are in the middle of something sacred, and God is still here. You've done so much internal work that no one claps for. You've carried fears you didn't even know how to name. You've walked forward while second-guessing every step. And still, somehow, you didn't give up on grace. Even if you paused, even if you curled up in doubt, even if you whispered, "I don't want to fail again," more times than you could count, you stayed, you prayed, you hoped, just enough to come back to this space tonight. That's a kind of bravery no one talks about. The soft kind, the exhausted kind, the kind that comes with no fanfare, just present. So let the pressure fall off your chest now. Let the noise in your mind soften. Let the ache in your body melt into quietness. You don't need to be productive in this moment. You don't need to redeem your day. You don't need to justify your existence. You just need to rest and trust that rest is not wasted, that God still moves in stillness, that hope can grow in silence. You don't have to be ready for everything tomorrow holds. You just have to believe, even a little, that you're not facing it alone. And you're not. You've carried enough for one day, enough wondering, enough hoping it will be different, enough trying to be the version of yourself that feels more lovable, more capable, more whole. But tonight, you don't have to carry that anymore. You don't need to wear the mask that says, "I'm okay." You don't need to push through one more hour just to feel like you've earned peace. You're allowed to feel weak, you're allowed to feel unsure, and you're still allowed to be loved in that. You haven't failed just because the fear hasn't gone away. You haven't failed because you still remember how it hurt last time. The truth is, you've grown. Even if it doesn't feel that way, even if your healing hasn't followed a straight line, you've grown every time you chose rest over shame. Every time you showed up to a quiet night like this one, every time you whispered a prayer, even when your voice shook. That's not failure. That's faith. Let this be the night you stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start asking, "What do I need?" And maybe the answer is simple: rest, safety, kindness, a soft place to land. And all of that is here now, not earned, not proven, just given, because you're human, because you're loved, because you're worthy of a peace that doesn't depend on how well you perform. Let that truth touch the places in you that are still afraid. Let it reach the part of you that believes you need to make up for lost time. You don't. Time isn't running out. Grace doesn't work like that. It meets you right here, in this breath, in this silence, in this prayer, and it holds you with a love that doesn't need fixing, only presence. So let the night unfold without resistance. Let your body sink deeper into rest. Let your soul believe, if only for this moment, that you are already enough, that you are already held, and that no matter what happens next, you don't walk through it alone. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is to stop trying, to stop fixing, to stop analyzing what went wrong or what you should have done differently. But maybe that's exactly what your soul is asking for tonight. Not another plan, not another push, but a gentle pause. Just long enough for you to remember that you're more than the sum of your efforts. You are not your worst decision. You are not your biggest fear. You are not the voice that says, "I'll never get it right." You are so much more, and you don't have to prove that to anyone right now. You've survived nights like this before. Nights where doubt wrapped itself around your chest. Nights where your mind wouldn't stop racing. Nights where the thought of trying again felt heavier than anything you could carry. And yet, here you are, still choosing hope, still returning to prayer, still holding space for grace, even when it feels just out of reach. If this prayer is helping you rest tonight, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. You're not alone here. You don't have to figure it all before your head hits the pillow. You don't have to have an answer for why you're afraid. Some fear doesn't come with an explanation. Some fear is just a bruise you've learned to live with, one that flinches every time you get close to trying again. That's okay. You're allowed to heal slowly. You're allowed to not know how long it'll take. You're allowed to rest while it's happening. Let tonight be the start of softening, not because everything makes sense, but because you've realized that peace is possible, even when clarity isn't. You don't have to wait for a breakthrough to feel worthy of rest. You can claim it now, here, as you are, even if the voice in your head still hesitates, even if your heart still holds on to the ache of what didn't go the way you hoped. This is your moment to let go. Not because you've given up, but because you're learning that letting go isn't the same as failure. It's trust. It's faith in slow healing. It's the brave surrender that says, I can rest here even without all the answers. So rest, breathe, and trust. You're still becoming something beautiful. You've done so well just making it through this day, even if it didn't feel like a win. Even if it felt like more of the same. Even if the fear was louder than your confidence, still you're here. Still breathing, still open to the possibility of peace. And that in itself is something sacred. You don't need to explain the weight you're carrying for it to be seen. You don't need to justify your exhaustion for it to matter. Your weariness is enough. Your presence is enough. Your longing to be okay again, that's enough. There's nothing wrong with you for needing this kind of prayer. There's nothing wrong with you for being afraid of trying again. There's nothing wrong with you for replaying moments you wish had gone differently. You're not weak, you're human. And humanity doesn't disqualify you from love. It's the very reason love reaches out. This night doesn't need a conclusion. It doesn't need a big lesson or a final word. It just needs your yes to being here, your yes to resting, your yes to believing, even a little, that peace is still possible. You've fought hard, you've endured long, and now you're allowed to let go. Let go of the idea that your past defines your next step. Let go of the shame that clings to the places where you fell. Let go of the harshness you've directed at yourself in moments of weakness. Let go of the belief that fear means you've failed. It doesn't. Fear just means you've been through something and you still care. That's all. Let the silence wrap around you now. Let your breathing slow without effort. Let your thoughts loosen and drift like leaves on water. You don't need to hold everything together tonight. You're allowed to unravel, and not in a destructive way, but in a healing one, in a way that makes room for softness, for safety, for sleep. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need peace. And that peace is already here. Wait, you've come so far. Maybe you don't always see it. Maybe you still look at yourself through the lens of what didn't go right. But there's more to your story than that. There's more to you than what hurt, more than what you lost, more than what you're still afraid to face. You are not just the echoes of the past. You are the possibility of what peace can feel like now. And this night, this exact moment, it's yours, not earned, not achieved, just gifted. You don't have to do anything else today. Not one more thing. You don't have to go over the same thought again and again. You don't have to convince anyone that you're okay. You don't have to prepare for tomorrow tonight. You've done enough. Truly, you've done more than enough. And now, it's time to let that be. Let it be enough. Let your thoughts slow. Let your breath deepen. Let your heart rest. It's okay if you don't know what comes next. It's okay if your confidence isn't fully back. It's okay if you're still healing. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you're in the middle of becoming, and that's a holy place to be. There's no pressure here, just presence. No judgment, just grace. No timeline, just tenderness. You don't have to rush through the discomfort. You don't have to pretend to feel peace to receive it. Just let it come in its own way, at its own pace. And as it comes, notice how your body softens, how your heart slows, how your mind opens just a little to the idea that maybe you're more loved than you thought, more supported than you assumed, more surrounded than you feared. So let it all go now. The tension, the urgency, the fear of falling again. Let this night be a full exhale, a release, a rest. You don't have to be perfect to be safe. You don't have to be fearless to be blessed. You don't have to win to be wanted. You're already seen, already chosen, already carried by a presence that doesn't walk away when things get quiet. So close your eyes and let go. You are safe here. You are loved here. You are not a failure. You are finally home.